Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's get started and look into the first article. The first article says Save the Deal. Before we understand what this article is all about, let's have a brief idea with respect to the background. Back in the year 2015, we had one of the important deals called as the Iran nuclear deal. What was this deal all about? This was an agreement and an understanding which was signed between Iran and P5 plus 1 member countries. This included US, UK, France, China, Russia and Germany. What was this deal all about? When you look into the activities of Iran, what it wanted to do was to enhance on the nuclear activities. It started increasing and enriching the uranium, which was supposed to be used for the nuclear activities, which will be used not only for the civilian purposes but also for the military purposes. Since there was increase of the nuclear activities by Iran, there were countries like United States, some of the European countries, and sanctions were also imposed. So what do we have is economic sanctions that were imposed on Iran by US, some of the European countries and United Nations. This is where the minute the economic sanctions were imposed on Iran, the economy was not going good. All their assets in all these countries were completely frozen and the economic crisis unfolded when it comes to Iran. This is where there was sanctions imposed on Iran and their economy was not doing good. And at the same time, the world community, especially United States of America, did not want nuclear activities to go beyond a particular threshold, or they did not want Iran to come up with nuclear related activities, especially when it comes to the military nuclear activities. So what do? They come into an agreement, they come into an understanding. That understanding is what is called as the nuclear deal of Iran. So what we have is the Iran nuclear deal where sanctions would be reduced or completely lifted off. That was the criteria that was put up by United States of America if Iran is ready to regulate its nuclear activity. So what was the deal all about? Iran agreed to limit its sensitive nuclear activities and allow all the international inspectors to inspect whether these activities were happening in Iran, and at the same time United States of America said that it is ready to lift all these economic sanctions that was imposed on Iran so that Iran would be able to come out of its economic crisis. When everything was going good, what we have is the incoming of the new president of United States of America, and that happens to be Donald Trump. Back in the year 2018, what we had is Donald Trump abandoned this particular landmark deal, and this landmark deal was completely done away with, and he started imposing sanctions again on Iran. That is when all the commitments that were given by Iran under the nuclear deal was again done away with, and what Iran started doing, it started increasing the uranium enrichment, it started increasing the nuclear activities. Again the world had to come together. Again the world was having negotiations with United States of America, but then something else happened in the political circles of United States of America. What we have is Donald Trump, who was out of this particular elections, and what we have is the new president of United States of America, Joe Biden. The minute Joe Biden administration comes into picture, they again want to reinstate what is called as the Iran nuclear deal. So this particular topic is speaking about reinvigorating what is called as the Iran nuclear deal. This is where one of the important talks is happening right now, and that is what is called as the Vienna talks. So what is this talks all about? These are the talks that are currently taking place in Vienna, which is aimed at reinvigorating the Iran nuclear deal. Although there are no direct talks between United States of America and Iran, but there are countries like UK, France, China, Russia and Germany who are working out a deal between United States of America and Iran. But there is a small challenge here. What is a small challenge? On one side, you have the United States of America, which is asking to Iran to first start off with the process of reducing the uranium enrichment, and at the same time, we also have Iran, which is asking United States of America to first remove the economic sanctions. So what you have is the debacle that who will be the first proposer. You have the debacle that who will start this particular process first, and that is how there is clumsiness, there is ambiguity as to how this particular procedure has to be taken off. To bring an end to this and to bring talks between United States of America and Iran, all these countries have come together and they want to create a roadmap for the revival of this Iran nuclear deal, and that is what is called as the Vienna talks. So this article here is basically speaking about Vienna talks, where all these five countries have come together. They are discussing amongst each other. On one side with United States of America, on other side you have Iran, so that they can build a consensus so that ultimately the Iran nuclear deal will become a successful one like it happened in 2015. So this agenda is all about producing a roadmap for the revival of the Iran nuclear deal. In order to execute this particular Iran nuclear deal, there are challenges right now when it comes to this particular deal. What are these challenges? One is the internal challenge, that which we will see in Iran. The other is what is called as the external challenge, which is not directly related to Iran and United States of America, but forces beyond their control. What are the internal issues? What are the internal dynamics? As of now, we have one political party which is represented in, let's say, Iran. This political party may be present or may not be present. Why? Because Iran will have what is called as the presidential election in the next few months. If there is an opposition party or any other party that is coming up, and in case they take an extremist stand, this whole process of Iran nuclear deal may again remain unsuccessful. So if United States of America is to bring this into practice, what we require is it has to happen on a faster basis without any delay. If the present government is present in Iran, they are in a much better position to make this deal a successful one. This is part of the internal issue. But when we look into the external issue, apart from United States of America and apart from Iran, there are other countries or other sections of the countries which are also planning to stop this particular successful program. Why? Let's say for example, there are other forces, let's say for example radical forces, extremist forces who are operating in Iran. These forces are directly affiliated to the ideology of Iran. They have a sectarian understanding with the Iranian regime, and as a result, in case these forces who are present in Iraq go about destroying the important buildings or important assets of United States of America, there might be a problem that this deal might not go good. Apart from this, there is also Israel-Iran shadow conflict as well. This conflict is currently taking place in Syria. This conflict is happening in Iran as well. So what we will have is an external agency like Israel, which is not letting this deal become a successful one. So what is the way forward? United States of America should understand this. Iran should understand the external and the internal threats. They should not continue with any delay process, and as a result, all the parties have to come together. They have to go on a consensus. They have to come and build an understanding and ensure that this Iran nuclear deal becomes a successful one, irrespective of the internal issues, irrespective of the external threats. They have to come together, negotiate, and make this Iran nuclear deal a successful one. This is what is this article all about. As we discussed, one of the external forces that we have issues is with Israel as well as Iran. A link article to this is again in Hindu Today. What is this article all about? There was a cyber attack initiated against Iran's underground nuclear facility, which is currently present in Natanz. What is this Natanz? This happens to be a nuclear facility which is underground in nature. Where is it? It is in Iran. Kindly remember, Natanz is one of the nuclear facilities that which is present in Iran. What exactly happened? Since this was a cyber attack, this led to blackout, meaning the electric power was completely down for few minutes. Iran currently has blamed Israel for this particular attack. What are we speaking about? We are speaking about blackout. What is this blackout? There was electricity that was down for few minutes because of the cyber attack. Now you might ask me a question, what is to do with electricity and a nuclear facility? Yes, electricity does go down in our houses as well. Yes, electricity does go down in industries as well. So what is a big deal about it? Yes, it does make a big deal as well. Why? Because when we look at the nuclear operations, it requires a continuous process. Since it is a continuous process, any fluctuations in electricity or electricity drop or cut down of the electricity can result in minor explosions or the whole process going for a toss. That is why a cyber attack which resulted in blackout could be a major problem for the operations that were being conducted at the Natanz facility which is present in Iran. So in the present scenario, what Israel is done is it has conducted a cyber attack, says Iran, according to the analysis that it has got. Now we have to go back to the history as well. Why? Back in the year 2007, what we actually see that this very nuclear facility Natanz was first targeted in 2007 with one of the viruses called as Stuxnet computer virus. It was this Stuxnet computer virus which again destructed number of centrifuges back when it comes to Iran, and similarly a cyber attack has been initiated in the present scenario as well. So what this shows is that the computer world cannot be completely taken away from the physical world. What will be the impact? The impact would be if Iran plans to retaliate and if Israel plans to retaliate, and we have few forces and few political parties which are in support of Israel, and if all of them come together, this particular Iran nuclear deal will again be under a problem. So hopefully Iran does come into an understanding with United States of America, and ultimately hopefully the Iran nuclear deal becomes a successful one. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article says India's South Asian opportunity. The article here focuses on the relationship between India and Pakistan, how the troubled relationship between India and Pakistan is not opening a greater windows of prosperity for the entire South Asia. Let's try and understand what is the author trying to convey. When we speak about India and Pakistan relationship, Pakistan's political party, Prime Minister and recently military have also acknowledged that Pakistan will ensure that all agreements with India will be successful, will be implemented if Kashmir issue is resolved. But do remember, Kashmir is an integral part of India. It will be an integral part of India, and it will be an integral part of India for eternity. So what should India and Pakistan focus? Instead of focusing on the Jammu and Kashmir issue, what they should ideally focus is on other aspects of humanity that is haunting both the countries, in fact the entire South Asian subcontinent. What is it? We have issues of poverty, we have issues of malnutrition, we have issues of neglect of the young, where all this is becoming a major problem not only for Pakistan, not only for India, but for the entire South Asia. So what should India and Pakistan focus on? They should focus on all these issues that are haunting the entire humanity instead of focusing on the political issue. Even that should be sorted out. So for that to be sorted out, what we require is one single party, not the military interfering with the political parties. So what we require is the political parties of Pakistan requesting, speaking and understanding and coming into a political consensus with the Indian government. Apart from this, the article focuses on other aspect. Let's say we have one of the important regional grouping organizations. What is it? It is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. This South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation consists countries like Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. What was the objective of this particular grouping? This particular grouping is basically looking at development of economic and human cooperation. So what do we have? We have the promotion of the welfare of the people of the South Asia, which aims to strengthen collectively what is called as the self-reliance, promote active collaboration for what? For the economic and human prosperity. That was the original intention of South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. But is this particular association, which happens to be an intergovernmental organization, is it become a successful one? No. That is primarily because of issues between India and Pakistan. Whenever India has initiated number of beautiful steps which is going to bring economic prosperity, cultural prosperity, social prosperity, political prosperity for all the South Asian regions, the major impediment has become Pakistan. So what is the author trying to do? Yes, India has initiated number of steps. So going forward, India should completely ignore one country, that is Pakistan, which has become an obstacle, which has become an impediment. So instead of focusing on Pakistan, focus on other South Asian countries. Why is it asking so? That is because when you look into the statistics, the share of India in the total land area, population and real GDP of South Asia in 2016 was nearly 62%, 75% and 83%. Collectively, with a population of slightly over 1.9 billion, when it comes to South Asia, it has a GDP of 12 trillion. Now let's compare this with Association of Southeast Asian Nations. What is the population? The population of South Asia is about 1.9 billion, but the population of Asian countries are 700 million. Now when it comes to the GDP, when it comes to South Asia, it is about 12 trillion, but when it comes to ASEAN, it is about 9 trillion. So when you compare, the South Asian population is comparatively in a much better stage. When you compare the GDP, it is again at a much prospective stage. So India, being a major stakeholder, a big brother, elder brother in this particular area, has to use all these aspects and make this SARC as a successful program, says the author. So what is the author trying to say? The author says when you look into the other statistics given by the World Bank publication titled A Glass Half Full and others from the Asian Developmental Bank and European Union, it says the great prospects are present when it comes to the South Asian region. So in order to utilize this particular South Asian region, bring prosperity to all other countries, what India has to develop is certain principles by kindly ignoring Pakistan as a country. Yes, we require Pakistan as an integral process of the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. But if Pakistan is the only country which is the impediment and an obstacle, why not ignore Pakistan and make sure that we have a number of developmental programs for the prosperity of other countries? So what is it asking? It is asking for a South Asian Concern program which is currently obsessed with Pakistan. So Pakistan has to be eliminated in this particular program and we need to transform South Asia. Why? Because India is a major stakeholder when it comes to the South Asian. So if we are able to have economic integration, if we are able to have collective integration of all these countries, Pakistan as a country will not make much issue, says this article. So going forward, we have to focus on South Asia instead of becoming obsessive with Pakistan, is what is this article all about. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about scaling up the vaccine production and the strategy to reduce the impact of second wave of COVID-19. When we look into the COVID-19 issue, what we currently have is increasing cases of COVID-19. Compare the same to last year. March 2020, April 2020, we were in a much better state of controlling. Why? We had imposed lockdown. The government had ensured all steps were taken. But now the government has opened up the economy. It is not giving any of the suggestions to the people. People have assumed that all these suggestions need not be taken up. They are violating all the rules and regulations. So the author in this particular case says that the second wave can result in more disastrous consequences if we do not take precautionary measures. And at the same time, it also puts the onus and the responsibility of the government when it comes to the vaccine development. What is the author trying to convey? The author here is trying to make use of some of the legal prospects that can be utilized when it comes to increasing the production of vaccine. We have one of the important sections called as Section 2 of the Epidemic Diseases Act of 1897. What does it do? It empowers the government during the outbreak of an epidemic to take measures that it may deem necessary to prevent the outbreak or its spread. So use this particular section as you used last year. Because this is an epidemic, all the measures that you want to take, please do take it and bring an end to the COVID-19. Then we have section 26B of the Drugs and the Cosmetics Act of 1940. It empowers the central government to regulate the sale, manufacture, distribution of a drug that is essential to meet the requirements of an emergency arising due to an epidemic. So the author here makes use of these two sections and these two laws, and he says, let's say for example, as of now we have two important companies, one that is manufacturing or producing Covishield, the other is the Covaxin. So what should the government do? Because the vaccine production is not able to meet the demands as requested by the people, there are other entities, other pharmaceutical companies which also have their laboratory. Establishing a new laboratory may take time. So what we can effectively make use of is use other companies' laboratory, make use of other companies' setup that is already present, so that the manufacturing can be shifted to these laboratories. So increasing the production will require increasing this particular laboratory strength. So already present laboratories where the entire setup is present, minute changes can be brought about so that these vaccines can be increased in all these existing laboratories of a different organization. That is the first recommendation. Then the author further says there is section 100 of the Patents Act of 1970 which allows the central government, which has the power to authorize anyone to use any patents or patent applications for the purposes of the government. Following this is section 92 of the Patents Act, which allows the central government to issue a compulsory license in circumstances of national emergency, extreme urgency, or in case of public non-commercial use. What does this Patent Act speak about? Let me give you a brief gist of it. Let's say there is one of the company which has manufactured one of the medicines. This medicines, let's say hypothetically, it may cost about 50,000 for one particular injection. But there is a grave emergency that is out in the market. If people are not able to buy this particular vaccine or a particular drug, it can result in death or other issues for number of people. So what can the government do? The government can immediately step in. It can keep away such a patent rule. It can let another company manufacture a same vaccine or a drug where the government takes on its responsibility. Why? Because there is a grave national emergency or an extreme urgency. The patent that has been taken by that particular company is not taken into consideration, but instead the government will ask another company manufacture the same vaccine or a similar drug so that this vaccine can be administered to the people. But such a vaccine that is produced keeping away all the patent laws will have to be used not for the commercial purpose, but this has to be used for the non-commercial purpose of saving the people in that particular region. So the author here is also suggesting that the government, in case there are any patented products right now which is currently present in the market, this can also be utilized such that a compulsory licensing provision can be initiated so that there is faster processing of the vaccine or the drug so that people can actually be saved because of the increasing cases of COVID-19. So these are the two sections that can be used under the Patents Act, says the author. Apart from these regulations, what else should be done? As of now, whenever you look into states which are going through the elections, what do we have is huge number of people who are coming up for the election rallies. So the government of the respective states and the central government should take it as a responsibility to ensure that these huge election campaigns should not take place. Apart from this, there are parties that are going on. Apart from this, there are spreader events that are taking place like marriages, so on and so forth. Such events should also be regulated strictly without any influence whatsoever. As much as we were able to control in the past when it comes to 2020 by regulating all these events, similar events have been taking place, parties have been taking place, we have the marriages that are conducted, election rallies being taking place, religious commemoration taking place, people are meeting everywhere, religious activities are being conducted. Such activities should be completely regulated, says the author. Finally, the author also gives the responsibility to the people as well. Why? Because people of late have become careless. In 2020, when this particular incident took place, we were very cautious. We used to wash the vegetables n number of times. We took all the precautionary measures that was required. But of late, what we have is a lackadaisical approach. We have become reckless and we have become careless. So the author in this particular case asked for the citizen engagement as well. So the behaviors, symptom reporting will have to take place, and people will have to take the responsibility of following all the social vaccine guidelines. So what is this social vaccine? Use of hand sanitizers, use of mask, use of social distancing. These measures which have not been practiced in the last few months should continue to be practiced, says the author. So going forward, the government needs to explore the production capabilities and will have to regulate the activities of all the events and the people, is what is the article speaking about. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article, not on the same page at C, has been explained in our yesterday CNA, so kindly look into it. Now let's look into the mains practice questions. Rational safety measures and scaled up vaccinations can reduce the impact of COVID-19. Discuss. Next question. Explain how peace with Pakistan is not just a bilateral matter but is essential for India to transform South Asia. So please write all your answers on the comment section. Peer review. Do give positive feedback to your friends' answers. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.